am Tamika. Thank you. I am Tamika Dempster Mattox, and I will be with you this evening. I also have in set with me this evening our Executive Director, Mrs. Natalie Ivory Mattox, and I have with me also members from the OECS. We have representations from the Canadian Fund for Local Initiative, that's CFLI. We also have Dr. Brian representing the Ministry of Health with us this evening. We have, of course, our presenter for this evening, Dr. Megan Swaby, and certainly you will hear more about her shortly. But at this time, I'm going to invite Dr. Camila Bryan to just bring us greetings at this time, after which you will hear from our Executive Director, Mrs. Natalie Ivory Mattox. Dr. Bryan.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
All right, so happy Mental Health Day to everyone. Thank you for having me. So, as you had mentioned, my name is Dr. Camila Bryan. So I'm the clinical mentor, and I'll be bringing greetings from the HIV/STI/TB unit within the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So it is my pleasure to be here today in recognition of Mental Health Day under the theme, Making Mental Health a Global Priority. So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and our social well-being, which can affect how we think, feel, and act, which also determine how we handle stress and the impact it has and the choices that we make. During the COVID-19 pandemic, our healthcare workers providing care and services to the public were under increased stress, increased levels of anxiety, increased stress levels, fears, and other emotions. And this affected how they coped, emotions, their well-being, and even the care that they provided, whether maybe at the facility or outside of work. And as such, it is important to identify symptoms of mental health and early detection, as well as early implementation of coping mechanisms, such as we can enhance our resilience. So some of the coping mechanisms we already know: get adequate rest, try to eat healthy, trying to take breaks during the long shift, utilizing the services that are already available to us that we know of, that are provided by CTEC. So the monthly webinars, the well-being tips, the teletherapy, and the counseling, which we can use to support ourselves, not only ourselves, but also our colleagues and co-workers as we go through this time. So as we commemorate World Mental Health Day, let us continue to support ourselves and each other. And let us hear today from the expert as they provide an effective way of implementing and maintaining a healthy well-being, not just individually, but for us to continue globally. Thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brian, clinical mentor in the Ministry of Health. Thank you so much. We'll have at this time greetings from our Executive Director, Mrs. Natalie Ivory Mattox.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I am Natalie Irving Mattox. Let me start by acknowledging Madam Chairperson, Mrs. Tamika Dempster Mattox, Dr. Brian from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Jamaica, representatives from the Canadian High Commission in Kingston, Jamaica, CTEC staff, other specially invited guests, representatives from across the region. Pleasant good evening. So let me just share a little bit for those of you who would have been maybe joining us for the first time. Let me just give you a quick overview of CTEC. CTEC brings investment, research, and innovation to help improve the delivery of quality health services in the region. We provide technical assistance and funding to the Ministry of Health, government institutions, civil society organizations, and academic institutions to strengthen the health system and develop the health workforce. Some of our expertise include quality improvement, clinical mentoring, mental health services, prevention, treatment, and care of HIV and STIs, as well as non-communicable diseases. We also do capacity building for healthcare workers in the areas mentioned. The CTEC mental health portfolio is quite comprehensive. We offer training, mentoring to the psychosocial team in Jamaica, but we also provide this mental health service that we are launching. Well, not really launching, but the webinar that we're really commemorating with mental health, World Mental Health Day today. We, as Dr. Brian mentioned, we do offer the services such as the mental health tips, the webinars, the counseling, etc. And we encourage you to partake in what we offer. It is very important for us to recognize the need to take care of ourselves. Self-care is very important while we care for others. So in recognition of World Mental Health Day, I want to say thank you all for joining the webinar today. This will be a series of ongoing webinar, which will be done monthly. I also want to, before I go, recognize our funders for this initiative. It started with the Health Resources and Services Administration out of the United States of America via our International Training and Education Center for Health ITech partner. They provide the funding for Jamaica, and we do have support or funding rather through the Canadian Fund for Local Initiative through the Canadian High Commission in Jamaica. So I really want to thank HRSA, US government, and the Canadian High Commission for this support. I really, really appreciate it. I will look forward to continuing the partnership. Thank you all and welcome to this meeting, this webinar. Over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Thank you so much. Beautifully said. At this time, and we're gonna be turning over to our presenter for this evening, Dr. Megan Swaby. But just before I do so, let me share with you a little bit about Dr. Megan Swaby. So Dr. Megan Swaby, she's a clinical psychologist and a lecturer in the Department of Behavioral Science at the Michael University College. She is trained in restorative practices and often facilitates behavioral management workshops with various schools across the Highlands. Her primary research interests are on child depression and trauma. Dr. Swaby is a Christian. She actively participates in church camps and retreats where she serves as a counselor, as she believes in the young at heart, and she's always serving the young at heart as well. So at this time, I'm gonna hand over the floor to Dr. Megan Swaby, who will now take us further in this evening's discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Dr. Swaby.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is my pleasure being here. And let me begin by saying thanks to the administrative team for extending this invitation to me. I love to talk about everything mental health, and every opportunity I get to be an advocate for mental health, I tend to jump at it as much as I can. So this evening, I'm really hoping that we will have an interactive session as we consider the theme that has been presented to us for National Mental Health, International Mental Health, World Mental Health Day this year. I was told that whenever I go anywhere to make any presentation, if I want the persons to like me, then I must tell them a joke first. The only challenge is I don't think I'm a very good joke teller. And I have tried it, and every time that I've tried it, persons have laughed at me. I remember one day I was at work and I tried to tell some students a joke, and once at the end of my joke, I was the only person laughing. And all the students looked at me with a blank stare until finally one student shouted, "Miss, your joke them hard for catch like lotto. And so at that point, the joke was on me, where everyone now began laughing at me. And I am seeing one of my former students who has just sent me a message in the chat to say, I remember those days. So you see that I'm not lying. So please, this evening, I ask you to please forgive me for not attempting to tell you a joke, but instead, I would like to engage you in an icebreaker, with an icebreaker activity. I'm seeing David Donkey saying, I like the hard to catch like Lotta. Well, I tell you, the entire class, including myself, laughed for about 5 minutes after the young man said that. All right, so for our icebreaker this evening, let's see how much we remember from our days of watching cartoon. Let's see if you can identify the cartoon characters that we have on screen. You can type it in the chat, or you can unmute your microphones and share with us. Anyone can identify any?
Bart Simpson.
Which will tell us the number and the person.
Number 5, Bart Simpson.
Number 5, Bart Simpson.
Number 1 is Mickey. Number 2 is Donald Duck.
Number 1 is who?
Mickey Mouse.
Number 1 is Mickey Mouse. Yes. Number 2.
Number 16 is the white for Jet Simpson. I don't remember her name.
Number 3 is Flintstones.
Yes.
Number 27 is Betty Boop.
Number 27, yes.
28 is Arnold.
How about number 12?
That's
Popeye the
Sailor
Man.
Popeye.
Number 10. Number 10.
Arnold.
Yogi.
Number
And if you knew number 12, you should know number 25.
Yeah.
Who is number 25?
Olive
Oil.
All right, number
29 is Casper.
29 is Casper, yes.
Number 8 is Roadrunner.
Yeah, number 8 is Roadrunner, yes.
Mr. Crab.
Mr. Crab.
33, Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain.
Yes.
26, Pink Panther.
Yes. How about
31, Tasmania.
Devil.
Number 6 is SpongeBob.
Yes, number 6 is SpongeBob. How about number 20?
23 is Snoopy.
22 is Snoopy, yes.
Number 20 is Goofy.
Yeah,
Goofy, yes. How about number 16?
That's
Number 16 is
Tinkerbell.
Betty. No, Wilma. Wilma.
Oh,
Wilma
Number
from
16.
Wilma.
Wilma.
Everyone remembers Wilma.
Yeah,
Stewie.
Wilma.
Number 11 is Stewie.
All right, I think we have done a good job in trying to identify who our cartoon characters are. So it says, well, it kind of show up some of our ages still, but we will keep that as a secret among those of us who are here. So thank you very much for participating. Now, this afternoon, the theme that we were presented with is make mental health and well-being for all a global priority. Now, from considering this theme, it basically says to us that we all have a responsibility. When we consider the issue of mental health and helping persons with their mental health, it's not only left up to those persons to do it, or those persons in that particular profession to do it. But it means that if we're going to make it a priority for all, it means that all of us have a part to play in it. So we all have a responsibility. And one thing that I know that helps very well with mental health issues is karaoke. And so I'm going to invite you to unmute your microphone and we're going to have a little karaoke. I would like for you to help me to sing this song. Sing it out aloud, spoil it if we need to, but we're going to have fun singing it. The words will be on screen. So please unmute your microphone, choir. Let's see if the choir is ready. The choir is ready. Just check in. All right, so choir, let's go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Come on, choir. All right, we are ready, so let's go.
There comes a
Come
time
down
when we
when
hear
you hear
a certain
certain
No,
voice.
wait for the music. Wait for the music, please. Let's go now when Lionel comes up.
There's a certain call in the world must come together as one. People dying, standing hand to hand to life. It's unstoppable. We can go on.
Doing well, choir. Come on.
That's
Someone
to make a
change.
change.
We
We are all a part of God's great big family, and the truth you know, love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones that see the brighter day. Don't let us start giving. There's a choice to take, making. We're standing on. It's true, we make a better day. Just you and me.
We are the world.
We are the world.
Send your heart, send your heart, send your heart.
That's our
Let's
life.
our life.
Pure and free. That's all the soul's heart and its mind.
And so we are we are the world. We are the children. We are the ones that brighter, that brighter, less living. There's a choice for making and saving our own lives. It's to make a better day, just you and me. And when you're down and out, and it's no like no hope at all. But if you just believe, there's no way we can win. Let us stand along. That's only come. And we stand to make it together as one. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who want a brighter day. Let's start giving. There's a choice for making. Saving our lives.
To make a
To make a
better
better
day,
day,
you and
you and me. We are the world.
we are
We
the
are the
children. We
children.
are the ones to make a better
Better
day.
days. Let's start
Giving.
giving.
There's
Just making
everything
our lives.
it's to make a
To
better
make a better
day.
day, just you and me. We
We
are the
are the world.
world. We are the children. We are the ones to make.
Awesome, choir. Awesome. Well done. Good job. Good job. When is the next time that we'll be trying out for the Rising Stars? All right, thank you very much. So in essence, the song, it reminds us that we are the world. We are the ones who are able to make a difference. And as we contemplate this theme, it has to become a personal interest, a personal responsibility if we are going to be making mental health and well-being for all a global priority. It is not something that can be left up to governments. It is not something that is going to be left up to churches. It's not something that is going to be left up to schools. It is not something that is going to be left up to counseling agencies or whatever organization it may be. It has to become an individual project because, as the song says, we are the world. So then, for the purposes of this presentation, I have divided it in two sections, and I will be looking at two strategies, simple strategies. One, paying attention to self, and two, paying attention to others as we seek to make mental health and well-being a global priority for all. There's a common phrase that we use in mental health circles where we say, hurting people hurt people. Have you ever heard that one?
Yes,
Anyone?
Dr. Yes, Dr.
Right. And the essence of it is that if we are going through emotional pain, if we have a lot of emotional baggages, then in trying to help someone else deal with their emotional baggages or their mental health issues, then I am going to inadvertently hurt that person in the process. In Jamaica, we have another proverb. Anyone knows what that one says? Anyone remembers what grandma used to say, our mama? It begins with the word blind.
Blind can't lead blind.
Blind can't lead blind. And what does that mean, really?
We can help someone else. Just trying to teach you in person.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that clearly, Mr. Dunn.
You have to help yourself before you can help someone else.
Beautiful.
Just trying to teach you in person.
Beautiful. So in essence, it's the same thing. So
Yes,
in
other words, it means that while you're struggling with certain things, you cannot help someone at the same time, as what he said.
Beautifully said. Thank you. So in essence, then, we have to begin to focus on self, ensure that self is at a place where we can help others. Now, I have two situations here. Situation one, you're at work and another coworker comes to you and say, Alicia, the boss says he wants to see you. Alicia, Nibs, what do you think? What do you feel? And what do you do?
So the first thing, what do I think? I'll start to think what exactly he wants to see me for, what do I feel? Probably a sense of panic at first, thinking maybe, okay, I probably would have done something wrong or somebody reported me for something. And what would I do? I would, I'd just go see what he wants.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? The boss sends a message that he wants to see you. What do you think immediately? What do you feel? And what do you do? Anyone else would like to share, please?
Dr. Swaby?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Swaby. Maybe I would panic a little bit because maybe all the sensors in my brain would start going off. I probably would be going over things that I might have done, or just to do a quick check in my head to see if all the action that I was given would have taken place. Like I said, I would feel a little bit panicky.
All right, so you would be panicking. All right. Situation two, your salary is finished and the new month has not yet started. Audrey. Mrs. Doyley?
Me say no, God has a sense of humor. Why you call me with that when that's exactly how I feel? Oh my God. Probably find somewhere to get a loan because
But what would you think first? What would you think?
well, I probably think that well, I probably have to go do some fasting the next month because food going to finish early. Probably some bills won't get paid. Probably have to go work some days because the gas price is so high. A whole heap of thing. Probably just stay home, roll over, and play dead.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? How would you respond? The salary is finished and the new month has not even started as yet. What do you think? How do you feel? What do you do? All right, so David is saying, how did this happen again? How can I avoid this next month? All right, so in essence then, thank you all for sharing, those who did. I am not hearing anyone saying, oh, the boss has finally recognized the hard work that I am doing and he wants to congratulate me. Oh gosh, I'm feeling so excited. Let me hurry and go see and go see him. Anyone?
When is that the case?
That is not the case, but why not though?
When? No, when is bosses hardly ever do that?
Bosses hardly ever do that. I hope we don't have a boss on the platform this evening. But we tend to, once things happen, we tend to begin to think negatively. You tend to always jump to, what did I do wrong? And immediately, if you begin thinking, what did I do wrong? You notice how the persons who shared what they said, they would panic. So you begin to think, okay, what did I do wrong? What could the boss possibly want? And then you begin to panic. And then out of panicking, then you probably, do something. In the second case, you're wondering, what are you going to do? You're probably calling sick, you stay home. So in essence, then, we're seeing that there's a tripartite relationship among the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors. What we think, what we feel, and what we do. Now, before I go a little bit more in explaining that, someone mentioned it earlier, and I just want to emphasize it, that when we think of mental health has to do with how we process things. So all of us in any given day, we have different experiences. The experiences that we have, two of us can have the same experience, but we walk away from that experience with two different conclusions because we process things differently. We think about things differently. Someone said that someone who is experiencing unhealed trauma, the least thing that happens, they can make a mountain out of it because they see everything as a threat. And every experience now will end up getting a threat response. So mental health has to do with how we process things. Are we processing things in a rational way, from a place where we are healed, or from a place where there are still scars that we're carrying from experiences that we would have had earlier in our lives? Mental health also has to do with our feelings, our emotions. How do we feel? Now, there's a thing that says our emotions are the language of our thoughts. So we are not always conscious of what we are thinking, but we are always conscious of how we are feeling. So when you're sad, you know that you're sad. When you're happy, you know that you're happy. When you're agitated and frustrated and whatever emotions there may be, you know that you're feeling those ways, but you don't necessarily know what you are thinking. But as I said earlier, our thoughts determine how we feel in any given day. And then how we feel will determine what we do. And mental health has to do with how we relate to others. So when things are not going my way, when I'm not having a good day, how do I relate to the persons around me? Do I snap at everybody? Do you find that you get to work and you're thinking, going back to Audrey's explanation, some of the bills probably were not paid, and you're thinking the bills are not paid. What is going to happen? This is only the beginning of the month. What is going to happen in the middle of the month? What if JPS cuts off my light and the fast neighbors who love look over my home already? You can imagine what they're going to be talking about me in the community, and you have all of that. And then somebody comes, Tanisha comes and she says, "Morning, Audrea." And Audrea does not answer. "Audrea, you didn't hear me telling you morning." So what? If I don't answer, you're going to die. Howdy's belly full now? I never knew that Howdy's belly full. So since Howdy's belly full and I never answered you, dead then? Dead, dead, dead. Because I don't know what the emphasis on. I am not the first person to come into this office and don't say good morning. So what happens if I come in one morning and don't say good morning? I tell you, see, everybody up this place just always taking set on me. It's because they see how I am quiet, you know. And she's gone off and quarreling and quarreling and quarreling. You know where that is coming from? That has nothing to do with the person who said good morning to her, but it has everything to do with what she has been thinking and what she has been feeling. She was thinking about all of her bills, and then she realized, from all of that thinking, she's experiencing negative emotions. And out of that, that's how you see how she responds to others. So there are many times when conflicts can be avoided if we recognize that, you know what? This person's reaction has absolutely nothing to do with me. And where we stop taking things personal. So mental health then has to do with our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. Put another way, how we process things, how we process our experiences, how we think about our experiences. It has to do with our emotions that we experience and how our emotions affect our behaviors, how we relate to the persons who are around us. So the unique three, as we have it here: thoughts create feelings. Feelings create behavior. Behavior reinforces thoughts, and the cycle continues. So if any given day you get up and you are having positive thoughts, it follows you. Positive emotions will follow. And if you're experiencing positive emotions, then you find that you have very pro-social behaviors. You are chirpy, you are helping other persons, you are reaching out to people. And when you do that, when you do good things to people, when you have good relationships, because human beings are intrinsically relational, then you find that the behaviors reinforces the thoughts and it continues. I'm coming, sir, I see your hand. But if the flip side happens, where you're having negative thoughts, you're going to find that you're experiencing a lot of negative emotions. It is going to be manifested in negative behaviors, and the cycle is going to continue. So the thoughts, feelings, behavior, when we talk about mental health, that is at the root of it. Yes, Mr.
Oswald. Hannes, yes. Good evening, Doc. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Just a question for you, Doc. Can we as individuals learn to cope with conflict, and in so doing, be able to manage our responses one to the other?
Yes, we can. One of the beautiful things about human beings is that we are trainable. And once you submit to it, you can learn more positive ways of dealing with conflicts, because the behaviorist will tell you everything that we do is because we learned how to do it this way.
Yeah, my reason for asking this question is that I hold firm to the view that there's always an opportunity in every crisis or situation that arises. And so if we look at it from that point of view, then responding to others would not be such an unpleasant feeling for those individuals to whom we respond, but rather they will feel uplifted by our response because we have recognized that there's always opportunities, and so we try to move ourselves and move our thinking or our behaviors, our responses towards a positive view so that it can impact in a very positive way one on the other. I don't know your thoughts on that. Doc.
Yes, but that has to remember what I said earlier about mental health has to become a personal responsibility, and practicing good mental health and trying to help other persons to practice good habits that will promote good mental health. It has to become a personal responsibility. And that personal responsibility, we're not going to get there unless we are reflective and we are willing to change. So when we learn new things, when we have had experiences and we evaluate how we responded and make the changes that are necessary, and so we are growing emotionally, we're growing psychologically, that is how we're going to have that type of a response that you spoke of. But very good point. We appreciate you sharing with us this evening. All right, so we understand the relationship then, the tripartite relationship that exists among the thoughts, the feelings, and the behavior. Now, where it becomes tricky, remember what I said, we're not always mindful of what we're thinking, but we're always mindful of what we are feeling. We always know our emotions. And so many times persons will get up and they will say, sure, I just don't feel good. Or I know Jamaicans like to say, I just feel a way. That's just a particular emotion that only Jamaicans know. But if you're sad, you know. If you're feeling guilty, you know. If you're fearful, you know. All of these negative emotions. So the trick then is, how do we deal with negative emotions? I listened as one of the persons earlier brought greetings and said, the way in which we deal with our emotions will have an impact on how we deal with stress. Stress is inevitable. We're always going to be meeting upon stressors as we go through life from day to day. But until we learn how to deal with negative emotions, we're always going to find that we're having a battle when it comes on to how we relate to other persons and our thoughts. Because remember the tripartite relationship that we spoke about. So here are some ways that we tend to deal with negative emotions. And I've tried to use, these are not all, there are many other ways that we deal with negative emotions in a healthily and unhealthily. But I've tried to use 4 and put it in a form that it could be easily understood. And when we think of how we tend to deal with negative emotions in an unhealthy way, I'm using the acronym RIDE, RIDE. There are many times when people feeling any of these negative emotions, or even some that are not there, and you know you're feeling this way, and the persons end up engaging in some risky behaviors. Risky behaviors, there are some persons who drive recklessly. There are some persons who you're feeling angry about something, and persons just throw the glass in the wall. Or you find persons, they're angry, so they hit things. They kick the dog. They stone something. But risky behaviors, they end up shopping, buying a lot of things that they really don't need, running up the credit card bill. engaging in reckless sexual activity just because they're dealing with some negative emotions that they do not know how to deal with. And emotions are things that have to be expressed. And so they try to find an outlet, but they engage in risky behaviors. Another way is that there are some persons, when they begin to experience negative emotions, they try to ignore them. They try to push them down. But I want to tell us this evening that feelings that are buried alive remain alive. It does not matter how long you try to sweep it under the carpet, as we say, or try to push it down. Emotions are not going to go away. And what is going to happen is that it is going to find some other way of coming out. And when it does, it can come out in a very dangerous way. So you try to ignore it, you're angry, and you try to ignore it. And every time you think about the situation, you know you're angry about it, but instead of dealing with it, you keep trying to push it down. Or you know that you're frustrated or you're sad or whatever it may be. Eventually, you find that you start experiencing pains all over your body. You keep going to the doctor. The doctors cannot find what is wrong with you because there's nothing medically wrong with you. The root of your problem is a psychological issue. Because there's a relationship between stress and the body. Or I should put it another way, stress is really a mind and body combination that gives you stress. So what you're thinking about, and you see it begins to affect your body. So you have persons ending up with a number of ailments or physical complaints. And the root cause of it is really because they have not dealt with their negative emotions. Another negative way or unhealthy way of dealing with negative emotions is dwelling on it. So you know that this person did you something and you're angry about it. And you keep dwelling on it, you keep ruminating, you keep thinking about it, or you keep talking about it. And the more you think about it, the more stressed you begin to feel, the bigger the situation becomes. And you go to bed and you get up tomorrow morning and you start thinking about the situation again until it becomes like a big mountain, and that's all you can think about. And it just makes the situation a lot worse than what it was because you just keep thinking about it. It consumes you. It consumes your energy. There's nothing else you can think about it. You find that it begins to affect your sleep. It begins to affect your eating. It begins to affect your social life. It begins to affect how you relate with even your family members. And then another unhealthy way is excusing it. So well, if she hadn't said that to me, or if she didn't say that to me, then I would not have responded how I did. She's at fault. Nobody can blame me. I am only human. My God, man, I can only take so much and no more. Look here, I am a human being. I have feelings too. And if every day bucket go to the well, what will happen? Who can tell me?
What's gonna drop out?
Bottom must fall out.
One day the bottom is going to fall out. So you keep excusing the behavior that comes from the negative emotions. Now, all of these are unhealthy ways of dealing with negative emotions. Now, what are some more healthy ways of dealing with negative emotions? How many persons remember growing up and there was a wall plaque in your homes or in your grandparents' homes that says the prayer of serenity? Anybody remembers that?
Yes, I have one.
Yes.
Anyone remembers what it says?
Yes, focus on things you cannot change. Don't focus on the things you cannot change.
God grant me the wisdom to understand the things.
That's it.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Awesome, good job. That's the essence of it. Focus on what you have control over. There are some things that we do not have control over. So when you find that you're getting upset about something that you do not have any control over, just remind yourself that you're only hurting you in the process. You do not have control over how someone else behaves. You have no control over other people's behaviors, not even parents. Yes, you do your best. And I'm sure if we ask the parents who are here, sometimes you correct a child about something and the child still goes back. And whether it is that when you're not there, the child still does it. And sometimes you quarrel, again, our Jamaican expression, you quarrel until you're blue. And they still do it. So focus on what you have control over. In the workplace, there are some things you do not have any control over. In the society at large, there are some things you do not have any control over. And if you keep focusing on the things that you can do nothing about, you're always going to be stressed. Acknowledge the emotions that you're experiencing. I have a big problem in Jamaica. So I go and I say, Edith, how are you? And Edith's response is, I am blessed and highly favored. I said, okay, I know you're blessed and highly favored, but that's not what I asked you. I asked you, how are you doing? Two different things. So we have developed these cliches that we use when we do not want to answer the questions, when we do not want to acknowledge what is happening with us. And if persons do not know what is happening with us, then the help sometimes that you could receive, you will not be able to. Accept that this is how I am feeling. I am angry right now. I am happy right now. I am frustrated right now. Right now, I am so mad. Acknowledge that this is how you are feeling. There is nothing wrong to say this is how you're feeling, and do not apologize for it. This is how you are feeling. And once you have acknowledged that this is how you're feeling, then talk about it. Talking helps. Talk about it. I'm not saying, I'm coming, Miss Williams, I am not saying that you're to go around and tell everybody, but there must be one or two trusted persons who you can talk to about how you are feeling. Go ahead, Miss Williams, please.
My question is, what about those persons who maybe don't know how to express how they're feeling? How would you, as an outsider or maybe even in the workplace, how would you then know that that person is going through a situation?
All right, so I'm going to ask you to hold on to your question, please, to when we get to the section where we're talking about dealing with paying attention to others, because now we're focusing on paying attention to self. But excellent question, and we're going to have a discussion about it.
Okay.
All right, so talk about it. And then the final tip that I have here is exercise. And these are spelled FATE, F-A-T-E. Exercise or find some other outlet. For some persons, it may be gardening. For some persons, it may be dancing. Find some form of outlet. We know about when the body is involved in physical activities, and the hormone, the brain releases the feel-good hormones, and these things help us to cope. You see, when God created us, He put all of these things in us so that we are able to cope, because life can be stressful sometimes. So focus on what you have control over. Try to make that separation. As the prior of serenity says, wisdom to know the difference between what I have control over, what I can change, and what I can't. acknowledge how you are feeling. There's nothing wrong to owning up to your emotions, to say, this is how I'm feeling. Talk about it. Find somebody to talk about it, and find an outlet. Exercise. It can be just walking around, cycling, swimming, gardening. Find an outlet that you can, to get involved in some physical activities. All right, so we're now going to be doing an activity which I have entitled as a stress test. So I hope you have something to write on and something to write with. Everyone, do you have a pen or pencil or paper? Do I need to wait on anyone?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah, ready.
Awesome. All right, can you see my screen clearly?
It's a bit small, but
all right, let's
I'll
see.
try.
How is it now? Any
a
better?
little better. Yes, a little better.
Okay. All right, so the instructions are, for each question, choose from the following alternatives. 0 for never, and you can jot these down at the top of your paper so you will remember them. 0 for never, 1 almost never, 2 sometimes, 3 fairly often, and 4 very often. So for each of the questions, you're going to select, put the corresponding numbers. So on your paper, you will just number 1 and you put the corresponding number until we get to the end. All right, so number 1, in the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? So put number 1 and put the corresponding number from the top. Then number 2, in the last month, how often have you felt that you were unable to control the important things in your life? There you go. And the others are there, so you can read them and move on down.
Can I see the last number 9? Thank you.
All right. Have we all completed all 10 questions? Do we need to wait on anyone? And you don't have to worry. I will not ask you to share your score unless you want to.
Yes, excuse me. Can I please see number 2 again? Thanks.
Sure. All right, anyone else? Do we need to wait on anyone else, or can we go to scoring now?
We can go to scoring.
All right, so now you can determine your score. Now the first thing with your score, it says first, reverse your scores for questions 4, 5, 7, and 8. On these 4 questions, change the scores like this. So if you had a 0, that now becomes a 4. If you had a 1, it becomes a 3. A 2 remains a 2. A 3 is now a 1, and a 4 is now a 0. For questions 4, 5, 7, and 8. And then add up your total score. And then this is it. Scores ranging from 0 to 13 would be considered low stress. Scores ranging from 14 to 26 would be considered moderate stress. And scores ranging from 27 to 40 would be considered high perceived stress. Is there anyone who is not finished? All right, so I can stop sharing this then. All right, so that's your perceived stress score. How stressed do you see yourselves? Now, if it is that you had a high number, then I am challenging you and encouraging you to pay attention. Pay attention to yourself. All right, so one person is saying, I got a 9, but I certainly don't feel low stress. It means that you're managing whatever stresses that you may be experiencing. All right, now having completed that activity, yes, I'm seeing Susan Samuel Lake. Go ahead, please.
Could you put up the score thing? 1-1 is what and 1-1 is what? I didn't get to do that part.
Okay, sure.
No, what?
Are you seeing it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so did you do the first part where you reverse the scores?
Yes, I did.
Right, so 0 to 13 is less stress.
Yeah.
14 to 26 is moderate stress.
Mm-hmm.
And 27 to 40 is high stress.
I think I fall in moderate stress.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, having completed the test and to see where you're at, to see how are you managing your stress levels, how are you dealing with your negative emotions. And remember what I said, this first part of the presentation, the emphasis on paying attention to self. I want to close off this section now by asking you to write a letter to yourselves, commending you for your strengths. You know yourselves best. And there are many times when we do things and no one acknowledges, or it just appears that it goes unnoticed. Some of us, we fight many battles that others do not know about. But the fact that we are here on the platform, it would mean that we are doing something right. And I want you to just take a moment now to appreciate you. And I want you to begin your little note to yourself by stating, "Dear fabulous, unique me." And I'll give you about 3 minutes just to write something to you, commending you. Dear fabulous, unique me. Your friend, me. All right, is there anyone who would like to share your letter?
Dr. Swaby?
Yes.
May I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
It says, "Dear fabulous and unique me, I am pleased with your achievements thus far, as well as the next phase of your life. Go forth with excellence and zeal. Always remember, though, to take time for self. Unwind. Your friend, me."
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson.
You're welcome, Doc.
Celebrate you. Anyone else would like to share?
Hi, good night.
Good evening. Yes, go ahead, please.
Dear fabulous, unique me, you did good. You are strong. You are winning. You have conquered so much that was sent to defeat you, and I am glad you are here. Thank
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We celebrate you. Anyone else would like to share? We can take 3 more persons.
May I go, please?
Please.
Okay, so dear fabulous, unique me, you are beautiful and empowered for greatness. There is nothing you cannot do if you put your mind to it. Life may not be what you want, but what you make it to be. No one can love you like you, so embrace yourself and reach for the stars. Many may not like you, but you love yourself enough for them.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Willis. Who is going next? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hannes.
Yes. Dear fabulous and unique me, you are a wonderful person with good values, self-worth, and a tremendous love for others. Remain positive.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We celebrate you. One more person.
May I?
Yes, please.
Okay. Dear fabulous, unique me, you are a lily that needs to be cherished, loved, and nurtured. You have so much to give, so much love inside. Be good, be kind, be loving. Don't wait on anyone to love or validate you. Just keep loving you. Love always, me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And I just feel that there is one more person who is saying, sure, and you know I want to share. Oh my, so I'm going to give that one person the opportunity to go. Yes, go ahead, Suzanne. Unmute your microphone, Mrs. Lake.
Dear fabulous, unique me, I am so proud of you. In spite of the many pains and troubles and trials and medical condition, you still go to length to help others in everything, in every way. And I am very, very proud of you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And everyone, thank you for sharing and thank you for participating. And I'm going to encourage you to I know we had limited time, but finish writing your letters and keep them. And ever so often, take them out and read them for yourself, validating you, affirming you, and just celebrating you. All right, now that was part 1. Now part 2 is paying attention to others, and I'm very mindful of the time. And I want to begin this section by reminding us of something we all learned as children, the golden rule. Anyone remembers it? Can you unmute your microphone and say the golden rule with me, for me, please? Do unto others.
Others as you would have them do unto you.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And sometimes we are going through our moments, or we have had experiences that we would have liked persons to do X or Y for us. Now, as the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. So that thing that you would have wanted for you, do it for somebody else. And if we all adopt this approach, then you will find that we are really taking each other's mental health seriously. The second thing that I want to say is do not assume. And I'm going to tie it in with the other one. When you see people's behaviors, do not assume that it has anything to do with you. Do not assume that they're doing this because X, Y, and Z, and do not label. Because we never fully understand what the next person is going through. I read something somewhere some time ago that says, be kind, because every person you meet is fighting a battle that you do not know anything about. Not everyone will come out and share. I am sure that even on this platform, there are many persons going through different things, but not everyone will come out and share what they're going through. But pay attention, do not assume, and do not label. It is best to ask questions. And let's be very alert when we see changes in behavior. This is not how the person normally behaves. When we see changes in behavior, we know that something is wrong. Remember the tripartite relationship that we spoke about earlier, the thoughts, the feelings, and the behavior. So many times when you see changes in the behavior, it means that this person may be experiencing a lot of negative emotions coming from a particular thought process that is just probably too much for them to deal with in the moment. Yes, Mrs. Lake, go ahead, please. Please unmute your microphone. Yes.
I was just wondering if I should share something with the group.
Yes, you can.
Concerning that part that says, do not assume. When I was in nursing school, our tutors used to tell us, do not assume because you make an ass of you and me. I really found that so encouraging.
Right, because that's what the word assume is spelled. ASS, you, and then ME. So do not assume because you make an ass out of you and me. Thank you for sharing that. That's quite interesting. All right. And I saw this and I thought I would share it. That there are times what we see is far from what is really happening. And let's just look at this list. So what do we see? We see people cutting out or giving up on friendships. So they stop calling their friends and you say, oh, this person just decided to cut me out of his or her life. But look at the second part. What might really be happening? The person may begin to isolate themselves due to the severity of illnesses or many other reasons. Go back up top, laziness, not trying enough. But the person is fighting so hard, but silently. The person is just constantly feeling exhausted, fatigued, and has no energy. And all of these are symptoms of some mental health issues. If you look closely on these, many of the symptoms here are symptoms of depression. Not listening or paying attention, being rude or having a bad attitude, purposefully distancing themselves, canceling plans, being inactive and wasting life, or not doing his or her work, not caring or being selfish. And these are the things that could possibly be happening. Intrusive thoughts or voices that are often louder than people talking. And when persons are at that state where all of their thoughts become so loud that all they can focus on is the negative thoughts that they keep happening, and they just keep going it over and over in their heads. Sometimes their behaviors, you may be trying to talk to them and they're not responding. It's not that they're being rude. It's just that where they are emotionally, they are not able to process what is happening around them. So focus on others. Pay attention when you see a change in behavior. Do not label. Remember that each person that you meet may be going through something. And the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And then I would like us now to engage in another activity, which is to make someone smile. I want you to take up your phones and I want you to send an encouraging note to someone. Send a text, a WhatsApp. And if you don't have WhatsApp, a text message to someone just to encourage them out of the blue. And I would prefer if you can do it to someone who you don't normally do it to, but just think of someone who you have in your contact list. And send the message now. And I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. And if the person responds and you would like to share, then you can tell us. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Hello?
Yes,
Are you
go
hearing
ahead.
me?
Yes.
I sent a teddy bear with a hug to someone who I hardly ever speak. I don't really speak to them daily, and they responded and said, "Oh."
That is nice. Thank you. So I am sure you caused that person to smile. Thank you for sharing and thank you for doing the activity. Anyone else? All right, so we have not gotten other responses as yet. No, in essence, that is what I wanted to share with us this evening, that if we're going to make mental health and well-being a global priority for all, then we have to pay attention to self, pay attention to how we process activities or experiences, pay attention to how we deal with negative emotions, how we deal with our stress levels, pay attention to my thoughts, to my feelings, and to my behaviors, and also pay attention to the next person. Remember that hurting people hurt people. And so if we are going to be able to successfully help others, we have to begin with who Michael Jackson described as the man in the mirror. And so I'm going to end in the same manner that we started. And I'm going to ask my choir again. My choir, are you ready? Is the choir ready? To please unmute your microphones. I'm not seeing the choir unmuting the microphone. Come on, choir, come on. And we are going to sing again. And this time we are going right back to Michael.
I just sent a text to someone.
Yes.
And the way that they replied was, this is so random though. Like I better hear from you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Because it surprised the person. It surprised the person. So you need to explain that yes, it is random, but explain what was happening.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for sharing. All right, choir, it's over to you now, choir.
Gonna make a change for once in your life. It's
Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. Turn up the
I see the kids in the street.
No, that's not it. Getting up to eat at night, pretending not to see their need. Some of these out the broken
Broken
bottle,
bottle
and a
and
one
one man
man
soul.
each other on the
Come on now,
window.
choir, get ready for the
Cause I
chorus. Come
got
on,
my
sing out
I
and
way.
got
That's
my
why I got
way.
to
That's why
know.
I want you
Talking with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. I know one day I'll be gonna make the world a better place to live
and then
and
make
make
it
a change.
He did not just record me. I'm not crackhead. No.
Love, a selfish kind of love, time that I need. But really me, pretending that you're not alone. Somebody's fighting so hard to stop me. Take a look around me, 'cause I got no place. One starting with me, starting with the man in the mirror. Asking him to change his ways. I know that change. Whatever. Look at yourself for the make a change.
All right, awesome. Thank you, choir. You spoiled the song and it was beautiful. Thank you very much. And I now turn back over to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suweibi. Awesome presentation. Can we give some virtual claps, some cheers for Dr. Suweibi on tonight? Come on, can we just give it up for Dr. Suweibi on tonight? Wonderful presentation, Dr. Suweibi. We so appreciate you. I saw somebody typing in the chat that, you know, this was really a therapeutic session, and I would agree. Indeed, we were feeling quite engaged, and I mean, we would have been leaving with so much tips and tools to help us to not just help ourselves, but to identify the challenges that others might be facing and to lend a helping hand as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Suweibi. We appreciate your presentation on tonight. And just to thank everyone that tapped in on tonight as well, I just want to remind us that here at CTEC, we offer a range of mental health support for our frontline workers. We offer mental health tips. We have our chatbot up and running online now. And of course, we have our text line where you can send us a text if it is that you need some mental support at 416-1449, and definitely someone will reach out to you. We also have our free therapeutic sessions. So we have trained counselors available. If it is that you need to schedule an appointment with us, we're here for you. Or if it is that you need group therapy, we also offer that as well. And of course, all these services are completely free of cost to our frontline workers. We have, of course, our monthly mental health webinars. Of course, we are hosting a special webinar tonight in highlight of World Mental Health Day. But come next week, Wednesday, we will be hosting our monthly webinar. Usually, let me just state that for those of us who would have been on before, we would have had our seminar or webinars on our Saturday. However, please take note that we're having a date change. So we're no longer third Saturdays, but third Wednesdays of every month. We host a series of mental health and wellness webinars to facilitate and to assist our healthcare or frontline workers in maintaining our mental health and well-being. So come next week, Wednesday, we will be having Dr. Swaby with us again. Of course, we will be having her on the 19th, that's next week, Wednesday. We will be having her on November 16th. We will also be having her on December 14th. So next week, we will be looking at working in a stressful environment. So please stop in on next week, Wednesday. Tell a friend. Let's come on out and have a wonderful time again, as we did on this evening. We want to make special thanks to all our sponsors. Of course, we have our sponsors, HRSA, we have PEPFAR, we have ITEC, we have the OECS on with us this evening as well. We have CFLI, and of course the CTEC team. We just want to thank everyone for making this event or this webinar possible. We want to just thank everyone for tapping in this evening. And before you go, we certainly have a little surprise for you. Let me try and see if I can share my screen. So we have a little bit of giveaways. Just a second. All right, so I'm gonna invite you to just head on over to our social media pages. Can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes, we can.
All right, so I'm gonna invite you just to run on over to our Instagram page or our Facebook page. We have some giveaways there for you. Just join in on the competition. All the instructions is right there for you to follow. And certainly you will be able to win a prize, one of our mental health kit or self-care kit with a lot of goodies. So go ahead and run on over to our social media pages, all right? So thank you again for tapping in, and join us on next week, same time, same place. Share the event with a friend and let us help each other on this journey of maintaining a good mental health and well-being. Thank you so much. I am Tamika Mattox, Mental Health Program Coordinator at CTEC. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you. Stay safe.
All right, so don't forget to go over to our Instagram page or any of our social media pages and participate. You will love your prizes.